Whether you've got $500,000 or $5 million, retirees have a common question, which is, how am I going to know that I'm going to be okay when it comes to distributing money out of my account and creating an income check when I've retired? Well, today I'm going to take you inside and show you how we solve that problem in our office using a real client scenario. Now, with all of the caveats that we would normally put in place, this is for educational purposes. You shouldn't take anything that I'm saying here and implement it in your own life. And yeah, I've changed the information just enough so that it's not identifiable as any client. This is actually somebody that we worked with in this situation that came in with questions about, how do I know where to take money from accounts from, and how are you going to create for me a paycheck in retirement, because I really don't know what to do with all of the money that I saved, and to do it in the right way. We want to make sure that we're not making any mistakes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of the planning software that we use. And it's not really the software that's the magic. It's the thinking behind the way we design solutions to the problems that makes this a really elegant solution for this family. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on right now. This is a client that lives in New Jersey, and when they came to see us, they had just over $2.8 million that they had saved across a number of accounts. Now, that money is made up inside of their assets of different 401ks, different retirement accounts. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. If we take a look at their assets, we can see that they've got some accounts in here that are IRA accounts, 401k, and we've got some money that's outside of those. We also know that they own homes, and they've got some Social Security that's going to be coming in. So even though they're retiring a little bit early off of it, we know that when we claim Social Security, we're going to have at full retirement age something that looks like maybe $3,200 on one hand and $3,000 on the other spouse. And part of what we're going to try to do is calculate what is the optimal time to claim Social Security, since it's not the same for everybody. And in fact, we want to make sure that we are incorporating the rest of the planning when it comes to being able to create this income. In other words, we don't want to look at Social Security by itself. We want to look at Social Security within the context of the other assets that are involved. Now, when we think about when we start income, we want to do a few things that are important in terms of the setup of the planning. One of the things that we want to think about is we want to make sure that we have this money growing over someone's life expectancy. So we don't want to keep it flat all the way through. We want this money to grow, especially because inflation will make things more expensive over time. We also want to do two other things in terms of the way that we set up these assumptions. At least it's the way that we do planning in our office. The first thing is that we want to take life expectancy out as far as, not just as reasonable, that would ever be expected off of this. So we might look at age 95 or 100 because we don't want this plan's success to depend on people just dying at life expectancy. We want it to be that if they continue to live, not only will have the money, but it will in fact continue to grow for them in terms of their income. And then the last thing that we want to do is we don't want to make assumptions that the market is going to go gangbusters for the entirety of their retirement. In other words, we don't want to present with them a solution that says, if everything lines up the way that we expect, then you'll be fine. But if it changes and we get less than we expected, then you got to think about doing something different. That's not very confidence inspiring. So the way that we have this set up is that we've got our expected returns to be lower than average, our inflation to be higher than average, and our life expectancy to be longer than average. And by doing this, what we've done is set up the deck to weigh against our planning. And if it works in that scenario, then we know as we go in through the living of this plan, the only thing that we have to apologize for in the future is that life is just a little bit better than we expected. So if we wanted to create income from this, we want to be able to think about creating different income sources. And this calls back to something that I've talked about in other videos, which is that it's very important to give every dollar a job. And no dollar does two jobs well, so we better put it in the thing that does the job the best. In this case with this client, we wanted to think about adding some income sources because they certainly had enough in terms of their savings, but we wanted to get some income in place. And in order to do that, we wanted to think about buying some annuities. And so when we start to think about the cash flow sources of this, it wasn't enough to think about the annuity as one single thing. we wanted to be able to think about it as maybe being phased in over time. So if you see what you have over on the screen, what's on there is you've got a number of colors inside, and these colors all represent different income sources. If I scroll up a little bit, you'll see the legend that these pensions are these kind of the dark blue, and the rental is the light blue, Social Security for one, Social Security for the other. We've got 3 annuities, and then if we wanted to, we had some portfolio withdrawals. So if we scroll down and we zoom in just a little bit, hopefully get a little bit bigger picture inside there, we'll see that these income sources are all phased to start at different times. If we are here in 2026 and retire, it turns out that we can claim our pension right away and our rental income, and it may even make sense to claim one of the Social Security. So we've got a good base of income that's coming in. But as we stagger out a little bit, we start to add in more of the income sources. Each one of these colors beyond that, except for the purple, is a different annuity. So we have 3 different annuities that we're phasing 1 year at a time. And we've decided to claim Social Security when we've pulled that up. Now, the benefit of doing that is that by the time all of these income sources turn on, we're going to bring in then dollars, not today dollars, but then dollars, 3 years from now, $13,700 per month. And we're going to be able to maintain that kind of going forward as this continues to grow over time. The Social Security is increasing, we're able to increase their income. And the whole idea is that between all of these, we've got a really nice picture for income in retirement. Well, the picture isn't enough alone. One of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to test this plan to make sure we know how successful it's going to be in any situation. And what it looks like when we run it against the software is that 99% of the time we have an outcome where the scenarios going forward are above the plan expectations, meaning it works out better than we expected. And 1% of the time, because there's always things that are possible, the scenarios are below the plan. You can imagine what would it feel like in your situation if you were presented with this and all of a sudden got a plan that got you to generate $10,000, $12,000 per month, if that was your number, and had this kind of chance of success or chances that we would be able to have an outcome that was a little better than when we started, how you would feel going into retirement knowing that that was the outlook when you came in. Now, there are other elements to this because we have not yet dived into things that are on tax planning, or how do we unearth money that might be in a stock that we've held for a long time, because that's also something that we want to be able to do. But just for purposes of being able to look at income going forward, if you were in a situation where you started with a balance of dollars and were presented with a plan that then took that money and then allocated it into each of the accounts that we needed to create income over time, how that would make you feel as you went through retirement. So what I want to leave you with is, you're in a situation as you enter your retirement that basically gives you an opportunity to go ahead and choose to have clarity and confidence as you go through retirement, and know that as you start to take money out, that money will last as long as you do, and that spending it today is not a dumb decision for tomorrow. Hope this helps you get a great look, and if you'd like more information, go ahead and reach out to you so we can create one of these plans for you.